Hey guys, Brad Ween here, and UFC 141 Lesnar vs. Overeem is this December 30th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. And here are my predictions for the main card of that evening. First, it looks like for the main card we have Vladimir Matyushenko against Alexander Gustafsson. We have Fitch against Johny Hendricks. For the co-main event, it looks like we have Nate Diaz versus Cerrone, and for the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Alistair Overeem. So let's get right down to it. First up, Vladimir Matyushenko against Alexander Gustafsson. What can you say about Vladimir Matyushenko? This guy is a grizzled vet. He's been everywhere. He's well respected. He's dangerous and he's well experienced. He's coming up against a young Alexander Gustafsson who had a great performance against Matt Hamill, where he TKO'd him. But for this match, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great technical fight. I think that Vladimir is going to have the experience on him, but if Gustafsson's got some deadly power in his hands, he's great. He mixes it up really well, but Vladimir, he's good at what he does. I think he's only had about 5 career losses, and it's all against top contenders. John Jones. He's lost against Little Nog, Andre Arlovsky, Tito Ortiz. Great guys, but he had a quick knockout win against Jason Brills, which threw everybody, off their game. He still shows that he still got it behind his grizzled veteran fatigue. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna have to go with Matyushenko. I think he's gonna work him. I think he's gonna win by unanimous decision. So Vladimir Matyushenko, unanimous decision. Next up, we got Fitch against Johny Hendricks. I love both these guys. Both these guys are great fighters. John Fitch is one of the best in the world. Johny Hendricks, he was great at the WEC. He had a little roadblock when he came to the UFC, but he's been on his winning track again. And, this is going to be a great fight. But both these guys got great wrestling, but I think it's just all going to come down to Fitch. John Fitch is a freak of nature. He's nuts. That whole draw with BJ Penn. I honestly thought he won that fight. I couldn't believe it went to a draw. But I think his last 9 fights have all gone to decision. So this guy's a workhorse and he's going to work it really good. But I have to go with John Fitch. I can't see Johny Hendricks winning this fight other than a flash knockout. And Fitch has got a tough chin. Look at the fight against GSP. GSP was all over him and Fitch showed how much heart he had. So I'm giving it Fitch, unanimous decision for that fight. Now we have the co-main event. Nate Diaz against Donald the Cowboy Cerrone. I'm so excited to see Donald Cerrone in the UFC. He's been on a complete tear since he's been in. Nate Diaz had a sick win over Takanori Gomi, which really showed that Nate Diaz is not to be taken lightly. I thought in that fight Gomi was just going to walk over him, but I was definitely wrong. It showed that Nate Diaz, that fight with Rory McDonald, he didn't show much, and Rory just walked all over him. But with his fight against Takanori Gomi, Gomi's a pride champion. He knows what he's doing, and it just shows that Nate Diaz still got it. But when you're going against Cerrone, I think Cerrone is just an all-around better fighter. He comes out of Greg Jackson's camp, and I always say this about Greg Jackson's camp, that it's one of the best camps out there, if not the best. His wins over Paul Carey, Vander Rocha, Charles Oliveira, Decemeber. I think Cerrone's just going to be too much for him, and I'm going to actually give it to Cerrone, second round TKO. So that is my prediction for that fight. I don't think that Diaz is lengthy, and he's going to try to, use his reach again. But I think Cerrone's just going to get in there and just work him. He's going to work Nate Diaz over, and I think he's going to be fighting. He should be due up for a title shot after this fight if Cerrone wins. So Cerrone, second round TKO. Now the main event, Brock Lesnar against Alistair Overeem. When I heard this fight was announced, I was crapping my pants. I couldn't be any more happier. To see Alistair Overeem finally in the UFC. This guy is a beast. Fought over in Pride. He was at the 205 weight class. He decided to work out, as some people say, and he just got jacked. He's a K1 champ. He just blew through that whole tournament. Overeem, he left the Strikeforce. I don't know. He was Strikeforce heavyweight champ, and then they had their tournament for some stupid reason. He's fought in Dream. You name it, he's in it. He had that ridiculous 19-second win against Todd Duffy when he was in K1 last New Year's Eve. He had a great. I think he dominated that fight with Fabricio Verdum. People say, well, he just didn't want to step into his game. But you know what? That's good. It shows you that he's a smart fighter. Verdum wanted him to play in his game, go into the ground, and Overeem was like, none of that. Overeem worked him standing up, and when he knew he was in trouble on the ground, he'd get right up, And so with Brock Lesnar, he's coming off his surgery. They caught it in time this time. And he's made a full recovery. They say he's like 120%. He's ready. He's ready to come back. The way you'll get this fight go either way, If Brock gets him down, I think Brock's gonna work him over. He's gonna lay and pray, but he's gonna keep it moving. He's gonna just pound Overeem's head in. If they keep it standing, Overeem's gonna kick his head off. Overeem's striking is the best. I personally think it's the best in the heavyweight division out of all MMA. He's so good. He really stepped up his game since being in Pride, and he's a dominant force. He's a force to be reckoned with. He's a K1 champ. He's a Strikeforce heavyweight champ. Well, he was before the other tournament, and I honestly think he's going to be the UFC heavyweight champ. Junior Dos Santos, he's a great fighter. He's going to be the champion for a while. But if Overeem gets past Leicester, he should get a title shot, and I think that Overeem will be the champ for a very long time. He doesn't seem like anybody's going to be coming to stop him anytime soon. So with me saying how Overeem's should be the champ for he's going to be the champ. I think Overeem is going to kill Brock in this fight. I think Overeem is going to. It's going to be a first round knockout. I'm a huge Brock Lesnar fan, but you got to give it to Overeem. When Brock Lesnar fought Cain Velasquez, Brock should have tried to go to the ground much sooner. He wanted to stand up, and he got what came to him. He got his head kicked in. Well, his face punched in, I should say. And he ended up losing the title. And I think he's going to do the same mistake with Alistair Overeem. I think he's going to try to stand up with Alistair Overeem, and it's going to cost him. It's going to cost him big time. So I give it first round Overeem knockout with Lesnar's head flying into the crowd and going back to pro wrestling. So guys, those are my predictions. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And it all goes down December 30th. So be sure to tune in to pay-per-view and enjoy the fight, guys.